Shalom, my friends. Welcome back to the greatest gift. What a privilege it is to be meditating on these scriptures. Each week, our hearts are being transformed as the words become living in our hearts. No longer just words and information and knowledge, but they travel into our hearts, being written on the tablets of our hearts, becoming a living expression of God's character and love in us. How did you go with the meditation from last week? It focused on self-compassion. Did you have many opportunities to practice that in the week? I would love to hear about it and how it showed in your daily life and how that meditation impacted your walk with the Messiah, your relationships, your thoughts and attitudes. So this week, we're reading in the book of Matthew, chapter 8, verse 1 to 4. After Yeshua had come down from the hill, large crowds followed him. A man afflicted with leprosy came, kneeled down in front of him and said, "Sir, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Yeshua reached out his hand, touched him, and said, "I am willing, be cleansed." And at once he was cleansed from his tzara'at. Then Yeshua said to him, "See that you tell no one, but as a testimony to the people, go and let the Kohen, the priest, examine you and offer the sacrifice that Moshe commanded." So as always, I encourage you to pause me right now to pray that the Holy Spirit may reveal insight and whatever you need at this time, at this season in your life. As you pray, meditate, spend as long as you need in any way that works for you. But I'd just like to make a note on listening again. As we meditate on this passage, I think it might be important and necessary to set an intention in our minds, in our hearts, that as we are listening to the Holy Spirit, we're listening to obey. We're hearing to obey. That is our intention, and whatever the Holy Spirit reveals, we set the intention of obeying it. And true listening requires dying to self as we make space for God and His Spirit and let go of our thoughts and attitudes. With that being said, I hope you'll enjoy this meditation and come back and share and comment so other people may benefit. Thank you. I hope you had enjoyed your time with the Holy Spirit. It is truly a blessing and a privilege for us to have the living God speak into our hearts, each of us receiving a different message according to our needs and according to His mercy and love. All it takes is having ears to hear and a heart that is willing and open. And He is so gracious and kind, and I just give Him praise that He should speak to us. So this week, I think we need to ask ourselves, how does this leper relate to us today? Yes, of course, we all have hearts that reflect his state, the sinful hearts, the sinful old nature. We know that we need healing. But as we watch this man, this brave man, kneeled down in front of Yeshua, taking such risk to face the crowd of people, we wonder at such a heart that was so tired of the way he was living that the fear of being stoned by people, of judgments, was overcome by his desire for change. A heart that had hope in Yeshua. The crowd could have stoned him, for he violated the Torah. The lepers had their own set of laws, but this man took the risk of exposure and being vulnerable in front of the Messiah. Let's talk about that. Being vulnerable. Having a vulnerable heart means to be honest with yourself. You are not hiding. You are not hiding the darkness from yourself. It begins with being honest and open about what's really in your heart. It's a heart that doesn't hide, doesn't pretend. It is not self-righteous. It doesn't wear a mask. It's not proud. It's not controlling. It's not self-reliant. Hearts that fear exposure cannot have the transformation that Yeshua's light brings. We must allow the light to come in to the darkness. The only possible way, the only opportunity that we have for transformation, if we allow the light of the Messiah to come and touch our darkness. And for that to happen, we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to be authentic, first with ourselves, so that we can be authentic with our God and with others. It has to start in us. The change begins in our hearts as we work with the Holy Spirit and with God. A vulnerable heart does not fear exposure to the light. It knows the darkness, the ugliness, the leprosy that it holds, but it does not hide from the light. It is not denying, it is not justifying, it's not covering up sins, and it's not magnifying sins either. We often fear our own darkness, and so we live in a lie, and that hinders our growth, that hinders our relationship with the Messiah, and that means we cannot be transformed to be like Him, to be made in His image. How can I be vulnerable with God when there are so many ifs in my heart? As the leper said, if you are willing to cleanse me, you can make me clean. If you're willing. The unspoken ifs of our hearts, they destroy and corrupt the character of God. If God had loved me, this wouldn't have happened. If God was truly loving, He wouldn't allow this to happen. If I had enough faith, this wouldn't have happened. The ifs are endless. The ifs. The disciples questioned Yeshua's character, his goodness. That's a lack of trust, and that comes from not knowing him. It goes back to the relationship we have. So perhaps now is the time that we ask ourselves these questions so honestly and earnestly. For our hearts depend on it, our souls and spirits depend on it. That we are honest today with ourselves and ask, am I hiding from God? What am I withholding from him? And do I believe in my heart that he is withholding goodness from me, as Adam and Eve believed? This is the oldest lie, believing that God is withholding good from us. That is such an attack on his character, yet this is the lie that we hear so often. It comes in many forms, but it comes and it hinders the intimate relationship with our Father, our Abba, that he longs to have with us. So do I see my Father as withholding good from me? And am I withholding things from him? Am I hiding from him? How can I be vulnerable with someone that I don't know, that I don't trust, that I fear? These are the questions that our hearts need to answer so they can be fully exposed to the light of the Messiah that will change them, transform them. And that authentic journey of being vulnerable begins here with you and your heart, with the Holy Spirit, so that we can be authentic with our God and with others. And we need to ask if we have a biblical view of our Abba. Do we have a biblical view of ourselves? And then allow him to touch our hearts. In surrender, lay it all down and watch as his Spirit transforms us, so that the change begins here with us today and then touches others, that we may be restored and have a relationship with the living God today and walk in obedience, trust grounded obedience, and bring him glory. That is my prayer for you, my friend. Thank you for being here. And I pray that these meditations will bring so much blessing into your life. Thank you. I'm sending you my love. Until next week. Shalom. Shalom, my friends. I just wanted to say hello and thank you for being here. It is such an amazing blessing, and I pray for each one of you that comes to this channel that God will bless you with every blessing, and that you'll find healing and peace here, and whatever your heart is seeking and desiring in him right now. I am just sending you so much love and wish I could see your faces and talk to you. And I'm just so overwhelmed that we can connect in this way. So sending you my love and thank you again. Shalom.